Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today is Wednesday, April 1st. Yes, it is April Fool's Day, and yes, I have a few little tricks up my sleeve, some pranks I'm gonna play on my students today.
What the? Someone put my bazooka in Jell-O.
I'm gonna share those with you, but I actually just finished recording a video all about 5 things I do to prepare for the STAR test. Now, we are a little bit less than 3 weeks out from the Math STAR test. So if you are also preparing for standardized testing, go back, watch that video. Now that that is done, I'm gonna just take you along with me today because in addition to April Fool's Day, it is also Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. So I'm gonna show you what my switch teacher and I have prepared for the paraprofessionals that work in our room with our students. And we also have some fun things planned coming up because it's a short week. Tomorrow is our last day this week. We're off school on Friday. We're getting ready to be reviewing for STAR, all of the things. So let's go ahead and get this Wednesday started. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about April Fool's pranks first, because even though it won't be early enough by the time you're seeing this for you to do these pranks on your students, you can stash away some ideas maybe for next year. Before getting into the ones with my students, I did play a little April Fool's Day prank on Billy, my husband, this morning. Typically, we don't do April Fool's Day pranks on each other. We'll prank each other with little things from time to time, but I don't think we've ever done like an April Fool's Day prank on each other. And ironically, last night when I was going over what I'm doing with my students with Billy, he was like, yeah, I don't really have anything for you, like we've never done that. And I was like, yeah. And then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do a little something. And I think the best April Fool's Day pranks are very harmless, like no one is hurt physically or their feelings are hurt or anything, and it just kind of makes you laugh because it takes you by surprise. And so I was trying to think about what could I do that's really easy that would just kind of take him by surprise. So we have an IKEA dresser with drawers that you can remove, and he has 3 drawers on the left side, I have 3 drawers on the right side. And so I decided to just swap the drawers. So I put all of mine on his side and then his on mine, and it was funny this morning when he went into the drawer to start getting ready for the gym. He like had that moment where he started to grab something and he was like, wait, and it took him, a minute or two, probably because he was a little sleepy, to figure out what had happened. But he did laugh and he was like, that was a good one. So I'm on my toes because he may try to get me back at some point during the day. I'm also on my toes with my students because I know they will probably try to prank me. Although 4th graders are funny with their pranks because they'll be like, your shoes are untied. And then you look down, they're like, April Fools. They're, usually not the most creative. Although after I share what I am doing for April Fool's Day, I will tell you an April Fool's Day prank that I played on my 6th grade teacher that I think was pretty good. Now, in the past, I've done a lot of different pranks. I've done the brownies, where you tell students, hey, I made you brownies, and they're like, yay! And then you open up the tray and it's just the brown letter E. Like you take brown paper and you cut out the letter E. I've done that, okay? And a lot of students know about that trick. I've done the word search, where you can't find any of the words because they're not actually there. I've done the fake directions quiz where it tells them to read all of the questions, and at the very end it's like, don't do any of this, and all of the questions are like super silly things. I've done all of these pranks before, and if I haven't done them with these students, prior teachers have. In fact, a really popular one is the flood drill, where you tell students, all right, we're gonna practice a flood drill, and you make them like sit on their desk and they have to take off their shoes, they have to like pretend to row their boat. But I know the 3rd grade teachers did that last year. So rather than rehashing like a standard April Fool's Day prank that students are used to, I wanted to do very simple ones that tie into our routine. I feel like the secret to pulling off a good April Fool's Day prank is having it be something that they don't expect. And if I suddenly am like, we're taking a spelling test today, that is so out of the ordinary that it tips them off that it's an April Fool's Day prank, if that makes sense. So I have one prank that I'm gonna do with both classes, and then I have separate pranks that I'm gonna do in the morning and the afternoon. So the first prank I'm gonna play on my morning class is every single morning, once they come in, the bell rings, I play the morning announcements video, and then I take lunch count. Now the lunch count is a Google Sheet spreadsheet, and I have it linked on my slide. So every morning I just click that link, it opens up the spreadsheet, I go to the day, and then I will read off the choices and they will just raise their hand. So what I did is I actually made a copy of that exact spreadsheet. So it looks the same, but it's only mine, like none of the other teachers have access to it. And I went to today and I changed the lunch options. So let me read you what I put on there as their lunch choices for today. All right, for lunch today, entree choice number 1 is spaghetti with mystery meatballs. Entree choice number 2 is baked possum with gravy and rice. The deli option is a mashed lima bean sandwich. The salad choice is a Cobb salad with green eggs and ham. And the daily offering is horseradish pudding. So I'm gonna just open that up like normal and just start doing lunch count and like see how they react. Very simple. It took all of 30 seconds to make a copy of that, put in the menu choices, and then link it on the spreadsheet. The second thing I'm gonna do with my morning class, and I think I will do it once they come back from specials and we start to roll into science. I had seen this idea online where you take like a chocolate covered raisin, you have it on your desk or somewhere, and all of a sudden you're like, bug, and you hit it with a book. So rather than stepping on it, because then your shoe is touching it, you hit it with a book, it will kind of smush because chocolate covered raisins, you know, they give a little bit, and then you pick it up and eat it in front of them. So they think it's a bug, but actually it's a chocolate covered raisin. Now, I was at the store and I saw a bag of chocolate covered raisins, but they were like $5, and I didn't really want to spend that for 2 raisins because I'm gonna do this same prank with my afternoon class. But I found a little mini thing of trail mix. This one has dark chocolate covered cranberries. Now I'm hoping there are 2 in here, I haven't checked, but the idea is, okay, yeah. So here's one. So like it's brown, it's small, it resembles a bug, especially from a distance. I'm just gonna have it out on my table, hit it with a book, smash it. Here's another one. Okay, here's another one, good. So I've got a couple of options. Let's test this, shall we? Because I better make sure it actually like squashes. And it actually works out well because we have been using our social studies book a lot. Okay, I'm gonna use this little one. So the idea is, you know, I'm walking around my room, I come back to my back table, I yell out bugs so that they're all looking, I smash it. Oh yeah, look at that. It looks like a little smashed bug. And then I'll probably hold it up and kind of be like, oh, do you all see like how big that one was? And then I just eat it and see how they react. So I'm gonna do that prank with both classes. I have 2 different pranks that I'm doing just with my afternoon class. So usually when we come in back into the classroom from lunch, I am monitoring the bathrooms and my students come in and they get ready. So I always have a slide up, it tells them what they need. So they get their math notebook, they get their learn book, and then right now, because we are preparing for STAR and doing our Math STAR brain dump, they get a piece of notebook paper. That was a good bug, by the way.
Lice, more lice. Angela has lice.
Ew, ow. So I'm gonna go into their cubbies where they keep their math notebooks and I'm gonna take all of them so that they're not able to find them. And then when I come in the room, like, all right, everyone's got their notebook, right? And kind of not get mad, but you know what I mean, where it's like, what do you mean you can't find it? Because usually that's my reaction when I'm like, it literally lives in your cubby. Where is your notebook? Like, it didn't grow legs and walk away. So very simple. And then once I've done that prank, it kind of takes down their guard. You know, they're like, all right, she's already pranked us. I'll do the bug one, but then I also have asked our secretary, which this is a real popular one on social media. I didn't come up with this, but I have asked our secretary to come over my intercom at some point in the afternoon. I kind of gave her a time frame. And usually she will come over the intercom and say, Mrs. Emerson, so-and-so's being dismissed. They won't be back, which means send them with their backpack, or they'll be returning, which means you don't need to send them with their backpack. So I've asked her to come over the intercom and say, Mrs. Emerson, your mom is here to pick you up. You won't be coming back. And then I'm gonna be like, all right, thank you. And then start packing up my stuff and just kind of tell them like, all right, you all know what to do. Like, make sure you turn in your exit ticket and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, we're taking our science test, and I'll leave the room and then come back in and obviously tell them April Fools. But those are my pranks that I planned. They're very simple. All I had to do was buy a thing of trail mix, change out the lunch menu options, and collect their notebooks, and I will be good to go. So now let's talk about Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. So in addition to April Fool's Day, today is also Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. My Switch teacher and I have 5 different paraprofessionals that are in our rooms at various times. And so we decided to collaborate together and prepare some little nifty gifties for them. Y'all know I love gift giving. You may remember last year, I created little buckets for them and I made like first then sheets. So it would be like, first you teach the kids, then you caffeinate or whatever. I don't remember the exact things that I said, but I'll link that video if you wanna go back and see that idea from last year. This year, I got an idea because one of the things we implemented this year that was new were the accommodation trackers. And I've talked about those before, but essentially every day for every student that has accommodations, we have to track whether they are using them or not, or whether we offer them and they didn't use them for each different subject area. And it's a lot. And so I feel like this year, if you say accommodation sheet to anyone, they're like, ugh. So I said, you know what? We're gonna make them their own like accommodation sheets, but have it correspond with the little gift items that we are giving them. And then my team teacher was like, wait, let's make the items into like a bouquet. So we can put them on like skewers or something and have it be a bouquet. And I was like, you know what? That's perfect. So essentially I made up an accommodation sheet for each of them. It's all the same. And we found items that kind of corresponded with it and then collected them all and put them into a bouquet. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like and talk through each different item. So here is what a completed bouquet looks like. I have them all ready to go, lined up here. We will go deliver them this morning. And then to go with it, they each will have the accommodation sheet. Now in terms of putting this together, these little flower pots, they're just plastic. I got those from Dollar Tree. They were like 6 for $1.25. Inside of it, I know it's kind of hard to see, but there is a piece of round, like kind of like styrofoam material. I got it from Dollar Tree. It's literally made for like plants and things. So that's at the bottom. And then I just hot glued all the items to skewers. They were basically like barbecue skewers. I got a 150 pack from the Dollar Tree for like $1.25. And I just hot glued the items and then stuck them into the styrofoam at the bottom. These are just fake flowers. I basically grabbed a bunch of different little fake flower sets from Dollar Tree and I cut them apart so that I had each flower individually. And then I just stuck those in to kind of fill in the space in the front. Now, I'm gonna go through the accommodation sheet and show you each item and how it corresponds. This is just an example one. It says Billy's accommodations. These little mini clipboards I got in a pack on Amazon, so I will link them for you. First, it says access to caffeine at all times. So in here, there are 2 little Starbucks gift cards. So like this one right here, and then this one right here. The next accommodation is clear targets to aim for. And that corresponds with the Target gift card. And then retail therapy as needed. So that corresponds with the Amazon gift card. And on the back, I even wrote for retail therapy as needed. I tried to word these the way that a lot of like student accommodations are worded. Time to meet your potential. So that corresponds with the Chomps sticks. We have turkey sticks and then also beef sticks. I think there's 4 of them total around in there. Then we have lesser or reduced salty cravings. So that goes with the lesser evil popcorn, which we just got that in like a 10 pack. And so each one has 2 little baggies. Checks for understanding, that corresponds with the Chex mix. And again, those came in a 10 pack. So we put 2 in each one. Chocolate for Bueno Works. So that is the little Kinder Buenos and they each have 2 of them in there. Then we have opportunities to take 5. So that is the Reese's Take 5 bar. Chances to cool down. So that actually goes with the icebreaker mints that are down here. These are a cool mint flavor icebreaker. There, you can see it a little bit better. And then finally, we have extra time for oral refresh, and that goes with the extra gum that is in there. So they're each gonna get a bouquet, they're each gonna get the little accommodation sheet. My original plan was to like tie it, but I don't think that's gonna work, so I'm just gonna kind of stick it in there as we give it to them. Okay, so now, because I was playing around with those and one of the gift cards fell off of the skewer, I need to heat up my hot glue gun so that I can fix it. Okay, we're gonna let that heat up. But it is also the week where I have brought out the Peep, this There we go, there's the Peep. This is just a little stuffed toy. It's actually scented, it's like marshmallow scented. And when I first brought it out on Monday, every time I'd throw it to them, they'd get to sniff it and guess what the scent was. Finally, both classes have gotten it correct, but it's essentially just like a little talking toy thing where when I call on them, I throw it to them. It's an engagement tool, something super easy, but just kind of changes things up. Now, speaking of Peeps and something different, we're in the midst of our last unit before the STAR test, and it is all about measurement conversions. We've learned all the customary conversions for capacity, length, and weight. Today, we are going over fractional conversions. So like half a foot is 6 inches, a third of a foot is 4 inches. And then tomorrow, it's all word problems, and that can get so repetitive when you're just doing it in your workbook and it's kind of boring. And when I was at Dollar Tree picking up things for the Paraprofessional Appreciation little gift baskets or gift bouquets, I guess, I came across these Peeps eggs and I just thought that they were adorable. So I bought them, not knowing how I would use them in the moment, but I knew I'd figure it out. And I decided, since we're gonna be doing all word problems tomorrow, how about, instead of doing them in our workbook, I just print out the word problems and put them in the eggs, and then that way they have to find the egg and solve the problem, and it makes it a little bit more fun. So all I did is took the exact word problem that I already had typed out on a slide and they already have in their workbook, so I didn't have to come up with the problem. I just copied it into a Google Doc and I made it larger font, printed it out, and I basically have 4 different problems, so they were all on one page. I printed enough copies that my students will work in groups of 4, and I color coded them. So you'll notice this is like just kind of my key. I took and just put a colored star in the bottom corner of each one. That corresponds with the color egg that it's in. So this one is in the yellow eggs. And I'll put the slide up on the screen. I basically am gonna tell my students, they're working in groups of 4, they're each gonna take turns finding an egg. I'm just gonna put them in random spots around my room, and they have to get one of each color. So a pink one, a purple one, blue, and yellow. That way I am ensuring that they go through all 4 problems. As a group, they are going to find one egg, open up the problem, solve it together, bring it to me to get checked, and then here was my thought process. First of all, I color-coded my answer key because they're all gonna be going in different orders. So if they come back to me with a pink egg, then I know that I'm checking the pink one. Once I check it, I'm just having them do this on like notebook paper. I'm going to put a star or a check or something in that color, so they have to collect all 4 colors, and that's it. Literally, this took no more than 5 minutes. I copied and pasted the questions into a Google Doc, printed them out, cut them apart, and just put them inside the egg. So I basically just folded it and placed it inside, and that was it. So tomorrow, I'll spend a minute or 2 putting them around the room. I'll have to put them back out before my afternoon class, but I'm gonna make sure I tell the morning class, like when you take it out, it goes back into that same egg. And they'll probably even help me like hide them around the room and I won't have to do anything. So super easy, but it just makes it a little bit more engaging, especially because tomorrow is our last day of school for the week, and then it's word problems, which is kind of boring. I figured this was a fun way just to change things up a little bit. But otherwise, it is a normal day today. Like our actual math lesson today is normal. Tomorrow will be a little bit more fun. We are playing trasketball in science to review because we have our test tomorrow. We are continuing on with social studies because we need to be done this unit by the end of next week. And I will let you know what pranks, if any, students play on me. I need to go ahead and hot glue that gift card back on there so that we can take those down to the paraprofessionals and I can get ready for my pranks today, make sure everything is all set. All right, we survived April Fool's Day. And ironically, I was just reminded by Facebook memories of 10 years ago, so 2016, I guess that was my, I think, 3rd year of teaching. I did the brownies prank with my 2nd graders, and today I didn't have any students play pranks on me, which I'm kind of sad about. Like, I love seeing their attempts at the pranks. I just think it's adorable. However, going through my pranks, the lunch option change was perfect because they didn't suspect it. And it was hilarious watching them because I was like, all right, spaghetti with mystery meatballs. And I had like, 3 kids raise their hand, and no one went for the possum, but then when I got to the lima bean sandwich, I had like a couple of kids who were like, yeah, I guess. And then one of them was like, wait, can I switch to the meatballs? And I had to keep a straight face. And I finally had to tell them April Fools. So that one worked really well. Then I did the bug squishing prank with them, and that was phenomenal as well. I think I really played it off. It worked out because I was showing them a video about the Artemis 2 launch that's actually happening today, which is lining up perfectly because we're studying the moon right now. And during the video, I paused it at one point to like tell them something. And as I paused it, I like looked down, pretended to see the bug, smacked it with the book, and it actually stuck to the back of the book, so it was great because I was able to lift it up. I was like, oh, do you see the size of that? And they're like, oh, and then I peeled it off and ate it, and their reactions were priceless. They were like, oh, what? And I could hear them all whispering, and then one of them was like, wait, no, it's actually candy, and like they put it together, but in the moment, it took them a little bit. So that was fantastic. And then in the afternoon, we kicked off with the notebook prank, and I had to kind of play into it because they immediately were like, oh, it's April Fools. And I just refused to, break my straight face. And I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And one of my students did have their notebook because it was in the lost and found. I'm like, well, they have their notebook, like, where is yours? And I was like, are you sure you didn't take it home? You didn't take it back to, your switch teacher's class? Is it in your switch bag? Is it in your desk? And all right, if you don't have it, you're gonna have to do it on notebook paper. And I just wouldn't let it up. And you could see they started to like panic and they were starting to all look around. And then I was like, look, if you all just can't remember, to bring your notebook back to class, especially on April Fool's Day, and I let them know and they all laughed and it was a good time. Then the original plan was to have one of our front desk secretaries come over the intercom to do the whole, like, your mom is here to pick you up. But that got squashed, kind of like the chocolate covered cranberry, because I had told my team teachers about that. And so my switch teacher was also doing it, but she had her do it in the morning time. And this morning I said, well, no, if you do it in the afternoon, then we can each do it with like our afternoon classes and they won't know. And she forgot to call her and switch it to the afternoon. So she did it in the morning, which meant when those students came to me in the afternoon, they already knew. But the secretary ended up calling me for something else and she was like, okay, like, I'm gonna do it in a few minutes if that works. And I was like, no. I was like, don't worry about it, but do it again for her class in the afternoon. So technically my homeroom students ended up having it as well, but in her class. So I didn't get to actually witness it happening, but it's okay, maybe next year. I think next year I might also do the flood prank because I ended up asking my students if their third grade teachers did it and they said no. So I think next year I might do that one because that one would be good. But all that being said, we got through what we needed to get through today. I also was showing my students the little board with the moon phases. Let me show you that real quick. I know I showed this last year, but it's essentially a thick poster board and it has a ball covered in yellow tape to represent the sun. And then it has ping pong balls on it to represent all the different phases. And it's designed so that it starts this way and then I actually rotate it around so the amount of the moon that students see changes as it goes around their head. And I was able to squeeze that in the afternoon class. I had already done it in the morning class. So in the afternoon, like as they were lining up, I just like quickly rotated around each of their heads and got that done. And then I did have a student who brought me an oak tree this morning in a plastic baggie. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe plant it. I don't know how that's gonna work, although I need to do some finagling with some plants anyway, because we had our little terrarium that we built to show the water cycle and it is busting at the seams. So this started as a little teeny tiny mint plant and we just put it in dirt in a like small 2-liter bottle and we had some water in there. We have the cap on it. So as the sun evaporates the water, it will condense on the side of the bottle, drip back down, and it's just been a continuous water cycle. So this has been in here for like almost a month now and the plant has reached the very tippy top. So I'm gonna have to relocate this anyway. But that's gonna have to happen tomorrow or another day because right now I need to head to our staff meeting that we have after school, getting ready for STAR, and then I need to get to the gym, get my training session in, get home. I've got some things to get ready for this weekend. Ooh, so I forgot, I know I mentioned that we were off school on Friday because it's Easter this weekend. And Billy and I are actually going camping. So we are gonna be driving out to Big Bend National Park, which it's on like the western side of Texas, kind of down toward Mexico. It's about an 8-hour drive, I believe. Although we have to drive up to my parents' house to drop off Ember and then drive down, so it'll probably take closer to 9 hours. We are gonna leave on Friday, drive most of the way there, stay at a hotel, and then get up on Saturday, drive the rest of the way. And for Christmas, I had booked us a campsite there because it books out really far in advance. So back in November, like the dates were already getting all snagged up. And so I was only able to get one night. We are gonna camp in a tent at Big Bend on Saturday night and get up the next morning, enjoy our breakfast over our little cooking pot, probably make some pancakes and drive home, pick up Ember, and then get ready for school next week. But this is one of my 40 before 40 list items, go tent camping. I can't believe I'm almost 33 and I've never been camping in a tent, but I'm excited. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, just hanging out with me for the day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.